Mary had a little lamb perform.
We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
A Russian fighter jet and a US drone colliding in mid-air is the kind of contact NATO has been desperate to avoid since the war in Ukraine began. The Su-27 Russian plane hit the Reaper drone's propeller, bringing it down, according to the US European Command.
This incident demonstrates a lack of competence in addition to being unsafe and unprofessional.
Russia, where President Putin was recently filmed in a flight simulator, denying its plane hit the drone, or that its pilot showed what the US called complete ineptitude. It happened at 7 a.m. in the crowded airspace over the Black Sea, just miles from the war in Ukraine, but crucially, Washington says, in international airspace. Russian jets dumped fuel on the Reaper, according to the US, before colliding with it and sending the $32 million drone crashing into the sea. The State Department quickly summoning Russia's ambassador with a blunt condemnation.
If the message is that they want to deter or dissuade us from flying and operating in international airspace over the Black Sea, then that message will fail.
The Russian ambassador accusing the US of threatening its territory.
This drone can carry 1,700 kilos of explosives.
But it's far from the first incident between the two countries. There are multiple alleged examples, sometimes recorded in dramatic video, of what American officials say are cases of Russian jets harassing the US military. In 2020, a Russian jet crossed within 100 feet of the nose of a US B-52 over the Black Sea. While in 2021, a Russian Su-24 buzzed an American missile destroyer, the USS Donald Cook, in the Black Sea. It's not clear whether this latest confrontation was intentional or accidental.
I mean, listen, the Russian forces, the military, are really unprofessional. They're very, very sloppy. Lots of them are very, very drunk. I mean, you know, you think Americans are like wake and bakes. Okay, but they're like, the stereotypical view that you have of Russians and vodka? Guess what? It's true. I've been there. And I'm telling you, they are an alcoholic nation. And the military is really no better. The military rapes, pillages. The military is, they beat old people. The ICC, the International Criminal Court at The Hague, is actually doing an investigation into Russia's war crimes. And they have 71,000 Russian war crimes that they are investigating. Now, whether or not they'll be able to prosecute, I don't know. I don't even know that they have jurisdiction. And why would that be? Well, Russia isn't part of the International Criminal Court, but neither is the United States of America part of the International Criminal Court, because the United States of America makes the same case that Russia does, that if you become a member of the International Criminal Court, then maybe one day American soldiers will be investigated for their war crimes at The Hague. At The Hague. But there is a caveat, and so that can't really, it doesn't wash with me. I'm not buying any of that, because The Hague only kicks in when the country who is committing the war crimes, or the country against whom the war crimes are being committed, is unable to do the prosecution of the war criminal. So only if a country is unable to do the prosecution, for instance, Ukraine, unable to do the prosecution of war crimes, would The Hague actually get jurisdiction. So I honestly, I have to tell you that the amount of raping that's going on there, I mean, the stories, I don't talk about Ukraine all that much, okay? I just don't, because it's a fluid situation. You know who I'm rooting for. You know that I am rooting for a free and independent society, a democracy. You know that I'm rooting for people who were invaded, because I believe you have the right to self-defense. I don't believe that empires, evil or good ones, are you a good evil? Are you a good empire or an evil empire? I don't believe that empires, good or evil, have the right to invade sovereign nations. Hence, I was against the invasion of Iraq, okay? And hence, I'm against the invasion of Ukraine. Very consistent position. However, the pushback is, by bots and Russian sympathizers and Tucker Carlsons, and Donald Trumpians and MAGAs who all of a sudden, after all these 20 years of war, are anti-war. Well, welcome to my crowd. It doesn't take away the right to self-defense being anti-war. I'm sorry. Do you just lay down and subjugate yourself when Russia invades? Do you just lay down and die because a bigger country wants your little country, even though your little country is a democracy that actually has elections that are free and fair? Or do we just get to take over oil-rich nations now? I honestly, I can't. So I don't talk about Ukraine all that much, but I will say this. The ICC, the International Criminal Court, has 71,000 cases in front of it of not just attacking kindergartens, which the Russians did yesterday. Yesterday, the Russians bombed 9 apartment buildings. Oh, yeah, I am paying attention. If you follow me on Twitter, you know I do. But they bombed 9 apartment buildings, a kindergarten, a playground yesterday. That is a war crime. Unless you're part of the, hey, we'll make more crowd when it comes to children. Like the Russian Orthodox Church. Oh, it's okay to kill these children because we'll make more children. I honestly, I don't know. But this is a brutal invasion. This is a disgusting invasion. This is an unjustified war of aggression. And quite frankly, they are sloppy and they are drunk and they are nasty and they are unprofessional. And then you've got the mercenary groups. Okay, you got the Wagner group, the Prigozhin guy, who, by the way, if MAGA was interested in justice at the outset, at the earliest stages of injustice, then they would have been very pro Robert Mueller, because in Mueller's report, Prigozhin, yes, the same one, was indicted. He was indicted. Now, we don't have the ability to subpoena him in Russia, okay? But he was indicted for inserting himself with the Russian trolls and the bots and everything else and turning Facebook into a political sewer in favor of Donald Trump. He was literally indicted. And this is the guy that's running the mercenary corps, and he was going into Russian prisons and given permission to go into like Siberian prisons and some of the worst gulags that Russia runs, and tell these prisoners that if they fought for him, in 6 months they could earn their freedom. I mean, it's so bizarre. Now they're saying that he's going into women's prisons because he ran out of men in the prisons. I don't know if that's true either. There's a lot of fog of war around this thing. Just saying. Hard to know unless you know somebody. But the truth is that, these people who were, very pro-Russia when Donald Trump got help from Russia, welcomed help from Russia, enjoyed the help from Russia, when we identified the people that were helping him in Russia, that's when MAGA decided that they loved Vlad. They loved him. They loved him because Vlad wanted to take Ukraine. And Trump had said, it's been edited out, but it's available. It's available. Trump had said that if he were president, he would give Putin parts of Ukraine. He would just give it to him. Now, these parts of Ukraine that he would just give to Putin, they held elections under occupation by Russia. Who holds elections under occupation of a sovereign nation except for a dictator? And that's what they're all about. That MAGA group, that's what they're all about. Either being too dumb to know this or saying we don't care. Don't have time to listen to the live show? Want to hear more on your schedule? Go to randyrhodes.com and buy a stinking podcast.